The resolution for this debate is specifically resolved. The world should adopt our plan to effectively combat climate change. Now, Plan C, written by Pat Murphy, describes 3 options we can take to doing so. In Plan A, B, and C. First of all, on Plan A. Plan A suggests that we do nothing, but instead remain in our course of action as we are now. Plan B suggests that instead of doing that, we find an alternative source of fuel, but to use this fuel in a similar way that we use oil now today, in a wasteful manner. Plan C suggests that we have a total rethinking of how we use energy today, and that not only do we find an alternative source of fuel, but also we find a more effective way to do so. This leads us into our debate today. On the affirmative side, we have Michael Crow and Alex Tolstorff, who are going to suggest that you, the people, have what it takes to combat climate change on your own, through your own means. On the negative, we have Jameson Harris and Evan Hebert. They suggest that the government has what it takes to be able to combat climate change.
We're going to start the debate with the first affirmative constructive speech by sophomore Michael Crow.
But the greatest contributor to global warming is the individual. We have both an ethical and moral obligation to curtail our personal use of energy and seek alternate sources so that there will be a tomorrow. Carbon emissions are warming the earth. We have already seen the systemic implications: melting ice caps, floods, more powerful and more frequent hurricanes, tornadoes, typhoons, mudslides. The first part of Brother Rice's plan of action is to raise environmental consciousness by encouraging simple individual actions to reduce each person's carbon footprint. The second part of our plan is to encourage individual responsible stewardship, which promotes community action. The third part is a localization of individual and community-based efforts. By implementing our plan on a local level, individuals and communities can reduce their carbon footprints specific to where they live.
We will now hear Jameson Harris, a junior, on the first negative constructive speech.
We, the negative team, believe it is time for the corporate sector and governments to take charge in the stand to save our planet. We, the negative team, are pushing for corporate sector and government to provide incentives such as tax credits and mandates for the individual and corporations to begin to implement alternative energies. All we need right now is a push in the right direction to set into motion a green revolution that will sweep the world. The affirmative talks to a different attitude concerning carbon consumption. It's idealistic at best. What we need is significant change in Washington, in the state and local governments to change our opinions toward climate change.
With that, I introduce Senior Alex Tolstorff, presenting the 4-minute affirmative rebuttal speech.
The government has severe limitation regarding solving the climate crisis. According to the Blueprint for American Prosperity put out in May of this year by the Brookings Institute, it specifically states that the array of federal policies, rules, and available tools for doing so for solving climate change remains incomplete and at times flawed. In 2005, the EPA Administrator Stephen L. Johnson called for a strategy to guide EPA efforts. Recognizing the potential of environmental stewardship to help solve some of today's most challenging environmental problems, where all parts of society actively take responsibility to improve environmental quality and achieve sustainable results. That is to say, the government advocates the affirmative plan of action.
We will now hear from sophomore Evan Hebert, presenting the negative team's rebuttal.
While they talk about the power of the individual, my partner, as he said, this is completely impractical. Nobody is going to be able to put themselves out there and help fight the climate crisis and this peak oil unless there's a clear, easy solution for doing so. On the negative side, we believe that what needs to happen has to come from governments, private industries, and also from the people themselves.
So we're going to start here with Alex Tolstorff on behalf of the affirmative team.
We can all be responsible stewards, individuals and governments alike. Do not count the actions of individuals out. But above all else, however, we can embody the spirit of the famous U.S. anthropologist Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has.
We're now going to hear the final formal speech of tonight's debate, the negative focus done by Evan Hebert.
Oftentimes, we talk about the Earth as our mother, and as our home. But right now, we are depleting the Earth's resources, destroying its natural beauty, and polluting the very skies we have lived under since the dawn of human history. The negative team, we see the efforts that we have made in the recent past to heal our self-inflicted wounds. And we feel that we need to do everything that is within our power to fight the effects of resource depletion and global climate change.
I want to thank our invited dignitaries. I want to thank Mr. Lubatanti from our board of directors. I want to thank Ms. Jane Shalal from the president of the Association of Food and Petroleum Dealers, the state of Michigan. I want to thank the mayor, the Honorable Michael Zambricki, the mayor of Bloomfield Hills, and Mr. Jay Craven, this is the city manager of Bloomfield Hills. I want to thank all of them for coming.